Okay, awesome. Welcome everybody to the September 8th Power Platform Junkies community call. Today we have an amazing agenda where it comes with building a Fusion development solution with .NET and Power Platform. Fanie is going to be taking us through how to be able to build that just using a simple but very useful solution using MVC, and then how you can be able to pull that data into Power Automate or Power Apps within the Power Platform. And then Z is going to show us how to actually do something very similar, but also very exciting with how you can be able to take positive advantage of your HTML skills and also be able to incorporate them within the Power Platform. So it's all about Fusion development today. And then I see that no, Kanya is not on the call yet, but we have her on how she is going to show us how to build or enhance business processes with AI within the Power Platform. And I'm privy to actually guess that this is going to have something to do with AI Builder, which is something that is great within the Power Platform, where you are able to use already pre-built AI models within the Power Platform and be able to incorporate them into your Power Platform solution, from your invoice processing to your form recognizer to your language detection models. So you can also build those custom models within AI Builder for object detection so that you can be able to use it within your Power Automate solution. So I'm really, really excited to actually see what we're going to see today from the presentations and also from how we can be able to use Fusion development and AI within the Power Platform. But before we can actually get started, I have a few housekeeping things to look at. We actually have the Power Platform Global AI Hack, which is a hack together that is happening on September 14th to September 28th, where you will learn everything Copilot, everything AI within Power Platform. And as we call it at Microsoft, we call it as all the co-pilots within the Power Platform, so that you can be able to learn about it, so that you can be able to use it with the different solutions that you are trying to build. So make sure that you sign up and join the global hack together for the Power Platform, and it's around AI within the Power Platform. So make sure that you join that. And also, if you want to participate within this specific AI hack together for the Power Platform, you can join either as an individual, or you can also join as a team of 2 or more, so that you can be able to stand a chance to win some few awesome prizes. So I don't want to touch on the prizes today. So if you want to know more about the Hack Together and the prizes that are up for grabs, you can visit aka.ms/hacktogether/Power Platform-AI. This is a great opportunity for all of you Power Platform enthusiast and also AI enthusiast, so that you can be able to build solutions. And I believe that there is a category or a few categories on the best AI solution within the Power Platform, and also I think the best inclusive or diversity and inclusive solution within the Power Platform using AI during this Power Platform AI hack together. So make sure that you participate and you join this global AI hack. You'll be obviously competing with a lot of people. You will have people who are from Microsoft that are going to be able to help you through your journey within the AI hack together. So you can ask questions from me and other cloud advocates that are going to be assisting during the Power Platform Global AI Hack Together. So I see a question on the chat, which is, how do we join? So if you go and visit the link in the screen, which is aka.ms/hacktogether/Power Platform-AI, if you visit that link, you will find all of the information that you need around the AI Hack Together, but also you'll find the form where you can be able to register for it. You can, again, register as an individual, or you can also register as a team if you like working together with another person. Right, so hopefully that takes care of that. I'll also be sharing a few resources about the AI Hack Together, so that you can be able to have those links very available and closely available to you. Okay, that takes care of the housekeeping things. Hopefully the solutions and the demos that you're going to be seeing here today will give you an idea so that you can be able to participate within the AI Hack Together. Without further ado, I want to hand it over to Mzi to start with his presentation and actually show us Fusion development within the Power Platform and how you can actually build a solution using HTML and some of the Power Platform products. Mzi, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Tiko. Welcome, everyone. My name is Mziwenhlanhla Mngadi. I'm a varsity junior guru and a Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. Today, I'll be showing you a quick demo of a problem encountered when I was trying to use Microsoft Forms. So I'll explain the problem and show you the idea I came up with as a workaround to that issue. So to start us off, I'll share my screen. Hopefully you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see it.
All right, cool. So to start us off, the problem I encountered with Microsoft Forms. So if I were to try and create a form right now using Microsoft Forms, let's say you have a use case where you require people outside the organization to fill in a form, and that form requires them to upload some sort of document. So if your first thought would be using Microsoft Forms, so let's try that out with Microsoft Forms. Here's the file upload, and you might think of using this. However, the issue with this is if I were to go to the settings and try to change who can fill out this form and say anyone can respond, as you can see, this option is disabled. And if I hover on this icon, it says file upload is only available when only people in the tenant, which is this MSFT, is selected as a setting. So that is a limitation with Microsoft Forms. It doesn't allow people outside the organization to upload documents through Microsoft Forms. So if I were to remove it now, I remove the file upload and I go back to settings. Now I can say anyone can respond. So anonymous responses that do not require a sign in. So that is the issue today with today's demo. That's the issue we're trying to solve. Excuse me. So to start us off, the idea is we create a custom HTML form. And through that custom HTML form, we add the fields that we want the anonymous people to fill in. And in that form, it will include a file upload option. So anyone can put a file upload regardless of whether they're inside the organization or not. So to start us off, we will be designing our HTML form. So to start us off, I'll use an Emmet abbreviation for HTML5 template. So you write HTML:5, and if you say enter, it gives you the skeleton for an HTML document. And from here, we can rename our HTML file, I mean the page, and say custom form. And in the body, we will add our form. And to save time, I already gone ahead beforehand and designed a form for us that we'll use just to save time, so you don't have to sit through watching me write the form from scratch. So here's the code, and let's have a look. Here's the form. So we will be using Bootstrap for the styling for this particular demo. Just to keep it simple, it's a form. And here's our form, has a ID application form. And in the form, we have a first name, which has an input that is required. We have last name, also required, email required, and the stuff today, the file upload, which in this case will be our motivational letter, is this input right here, and it accepts PDF documents. So if we were to save this and test out our form, so I'll save this and go to our browser and refresh. And here is our form: first name, last name, email, and the motivational letter, which is a file upload. As you can see, we haven't actually imported the stylings from Bootstrap, so we can do that quickly. I have a link here, which is the dependencies from Bootstrap that are required for the styling. So I'll just grab that quickly and paste it out here. So this is from Bootstrap. Save it, go back to our page and refresh. And there, our form is now styled properly and it's looking smart. So from here, what we have to do now is make a handler function to capture whatever the user will fill in on our form. So we go back to Visual Studio and we'll have to make a script tag here. We will have our HTML, our JavaScript and the functions to handle what happens when you submit the document. So start it off, and we got some Copilot helping us out, but we don't need the help right now. So I'll type it out, JavaScript. Right, and there's a script tag with JavaScript code. So to start us off, we have to create a handler function, and there's Copilot again offering suggestions, but for now we'll just write out the handler function by hand. Handle form submission, which is a function, and that function will accept an event, and you'll see why. Cool. So our handler function for submitting a form will take an event, and for that event, we want to prevent the default behavior of the form. So we want to indicate what happens when the form is submitted and not leave it to HTML to determine what to do with the data. So we start off, we say event prevent, then we have to get our form document. And with the form document, we're getting the elements by the ID, which I showed up here. Here's the form. So we get that form elements using this document.get by ID. And why we're doing this is because we want to get the form data. Now here, Copilot is helping us out. This is what we want to do. So we'll accept that suggestion. And with that data, we want to get the entries from the form. And here is Copilot again helping us out. We'll accept that. So what that does is it captures it takes the data from the form when we submit we click the submit button, and it will get the fields from the form. And how it gets those fields, it uses the name of the inputs. As you can see here, we have name set to first name for the first name input. And for the last name input, we have name to last name. Same thing with email, and the same thing for the motivational letter. So if we were to test it out now, we'll console.log to see what the data has. So we'll just test it out for now. And before we test it out, we can add, we should add an event listener on when the page is loaded. And what we want to do is actually attach this event handler to our form. So the way we do that would be, here Copilot is suggesting, yes, that's what we want. So again, it will get the form by the ID and attach an event listener, which is handle form submission to our form. But since we define the handler function taking a parameter of an event, we also have to show that here. So it will take an event, and the event will be here as a parameter. Cool. So let's test it out. We go back to our form, And so we can see what the console log has. Let's click inspect so we can see the developer tools. Here's the console. Okay, so we can test it out now. John Doe, I'm just filling in the form, example, and we upload the file. Cool. So when I click submit, we should see the output there of what data has. And there is our outputs. So as I explained, the name attributes here, the first name is from this tag here. So it creates the form data and it assigns them this name depending on what was puts as an input on the input field here. So as you can see, first name is John, last name is Doe, email, and we have motivational letter as a file object. Cool. So everything seems to be working just fine now. Now the thing we have to fix is the motivational letter. So this file object here, what we actually want from the file object is the file content, so the contents of the file. And as you can see here, we don't actually have a field that holds the file content unless we open the, we have to resolve a promise which will give us the file content that we need, so we can use that data and send it to our Power Automate flow, which will create the document. I'm sure it's confusing right now, but as we work through it, I'm sure you'll notice what I mean. So let's get back to that. And now, since we already saw the console log, we can remove this. So to start us off, we said we need to get the motivational letters file content. So the way we do that, create a constant variable, name it motivational letter underscore file content. Now, from here, as I mentioned, I said currently the motivational letter is, the content for the motivational letter is stored inside a promise. So we have to resolve that promise to get the content that we actually need. So the way we do that, and here's Copilot helping us out. Let's accept that. And the promise, this creates a new promise object, which takes which has a resolve and reject, which will be functions. And from here, we have a file reader, which will read the contents of the motivational letter and store it in this motivational letter file contents constant variable. So let me just check if everything is in order. File reader, create file as data, and here we actually need to have it as an event. Let me just sort this out. So event target dot results. And all right, cool. So what this will do is it will convert the file content into a base64 format string, which we will use to send the file contents over the HTTP to an endpoint on our Power Automate flow, which will capture that file content information. So to see what the base64 looks like, we will console.log the contents of motivational letter file contents to see how, just to see how it looks like. So we save that, go back to the page, refresh and again, fill in the info, and example, attach our file, and we submit. And it's showing the promise here. And this is what we have to resolve. So it wasn't resolved. Get back here. Excuse me. So we have to resolve the promise. Let me check. It is event target resolve. Data.motivational letter. Maybe let me try moving this down. Excuse me, just trying to find the issue here. So it is resolve, which is event.target, right? Then reject, which will reject the error, and read data as. Oh, okay, sorry. Since it's a promise, we have to use an await key. Yeah, don't know how we missed that. So we have to use the await key. And this works with promise. And here, as you can see, await, it says await expression only allowed within async functions. So that means we have to change our event handler to an async function. So we do that, async function. Right. So async function await, then yeah, I think that should work. Let's try it again. Refresh. Join DOM at full touch of and there it is. And that will be the contents of our PDF as a base64 string, which we will need to send to our automate flow, and the automate flow will handle converting this back into the document. So we need this so we can send it over the HTTP to the endpoints on our Power Automate flow. So with that said, we can continue and remove this. So now we will make use of the fetch API, which comes standard on browsers. So that what the fetch API will do is send a post request to our endpoints with the data that we captured from the form, right? So the first parameter is the URL which we want to send to, and this will be our endpoint URL. And this endpoint URL we will get when we have created our Power Automate flow. So we'll come back to this later. So it's the URL. Then we have to specify the method. Sorry. All right, so we have to specify what type of method it is. It is a post method, since we'll be sending data, and that post method, excuse me. Right. So it's the post method. Then we have to include headers, and the headers will help us specify the content type. There's Copilot helping us out, which will be JSON, which will send over the HTTP containing the data. Then from there is the body of what we actually want to send to our endpoint. And here Copilot's helping us again. Since we specified that we'll be sending over JSON data, we have to convert our JavaScript object into JSON so it can be sent over the HTTP. Right, so we say JSON dot stringify, and what we stringify will be the data from the form. But before that, let's make a reformatted data variable. So we will say const formatted data. So with formatted data, what we want to do is make a predefined structure of the information you want to send over HTTP, so that our Power Automate can know which fields it expects to receive, in what way, in what format. So that's what we'll do now. What we need is first name. So it will be first name, and first name will be data.first name. And this data.first name is actually the data we got from the form. Remember earlier on, I showed you the output of data. It has this as an option there. And then last name, which will be data.last name. Then You will have our email, yes, data.email. Then it's the motivational letter, which will also have an object. And in that object, you'll have the file name. Sorry, let me do it in order. It's the file name, and we have to specify the file type, which will be data.motivational letter type, right? Then the file content of the motivational letter. So it's file content, which is, sorry, which is this variable right here, the constant, which is motivational letter underscore file content. So I'll just copy that variable and paste it here. Right, so we have formatted our data, and we can take this formatted data. So I'll copy the variable again and paste it here on the body of in the Fetch API. Right, so with that done, let me just check. So it is the header, the body, right? Then the header, the body. Cool, I think that's it. And that's the Fetch API done, the method. Let me just format this. So yeah, everything seems to look good. Now, the final thing we want to do is show some type of message once the person has selected submit, like an alert that will say your submission has been captured successfully. So to do that, we will make use of this div. So this div will act as our render area. So what we will do is when the person clicks submit, we will remove this form and put the alert instead, saying, okay, your response has been captured. So we will use this ID, which is root. And the way we'll do that is make a constant, call it root, and again say document dot get element by ID root. Right, then we say root dot inner HTML. So it will what's inside the root div is what is in HTML, and we'll convert that to yeah, thank you for your application, or yeah, we leave it like that. Thank you for your application. So this will show up when the person has submitted the form. So since we don't have a endpoint URL yet, we'll comment this out and see how the form will behave. If once, I mean, how it will behave once we have the URL and like everything works in order. So this should be it for now. Let's test out our form again. So it is our famous John. Go.j, example, attach the file and click submit and see the form is gone now. It says, thank you for your application. Then at this point, if with our Fetch API, it will send that information to our Power Automate endpoint, and that Power Automate will handle managing the data. So the idea is it will take that data and store it on a SharePoint list somewhere. So with that form done, let's go to our Power Automate flow and create the flow itself. So this is Power Automate. I'm at my flows, and what we want to do is build a automated cloud flow. So we'll name this flow as demo form submission. And let me just copy the name, daemon demo. I'll just copy this and skip for now. I'll rename it. Cool. So as a trigger, what we want to have as a trigger on our automate flow is HTTP request. It's just loading. While it does that, let me just rename the flow to demo form submission. So trying to find the trigger for the automate flow here. My internet is having issues, so probably why it's taking so long. HTTP. Paste. Yeah, while we wait for that, hopefully everybody's still keeping.
Yeah, we're keeping up. It looks amazing. I'm pretty sure that internet connectivity is everyone's kryptonite.
It's the worst enemy.
Yes, of course.
Maybe I should try doing it again. Perhaps. Let me try creating it again. Really had the momentum going, and now this.
Yeah, internet connectivity is never a great friend. You always hope that the demo gods are always with you, most especially if you're gonna do a demo that requires something that's hosted on the cloud.
Problem. Maybe I should try switching my networks. Maybe that will help. Then
Yeah.
I have, yeah, can I try that?
Yeah, of course you can.
All right, I've switched. Hopefully you can still see my screen. Let's try this again. All right, let's try this again. New flow, automated cloud flow, skip. Then HTTP key request. And right, this is the trigger we want. And keep in mind, this is a premium feature. So if you were to want to use it for yourself, you have to ensure you have the proper licenses for Power Automate to make use of it. And in my case, I have the license, so it will work. So yeah, we got the trigger. And remember, I mentioned here on the Fetch API that we'll need an endpoint URL. And we will get that URL is here. It will be generated once we save our flow. So let me just rename my flow. So it is demo home mission. Cool. And let me just add another item so I can save the flow, because it needs 2 steps at least to save. And yeah, just leave it like that for now and save. Right, so we've saved our flow and it has generated our URL for us, so we can copy it here when we want to make use of it. But for now, we need to define the body schema for our JSON that we will receive from the form. Remember, we converted our JavaScript object into a JSON string, and it will be received here when this flow is triggered, when the endpoint, like data is sent to this endpoint. So the way we want to do it, we can provide sample payload, so it will generate a schema for us. So we have it as an object, and on this sample payload, the way we want it to look like is the same way as it looks here on our formatted data, which is the predetermined schema. So like it knows which items to expect, our endpoint that is. So we have first name, which will be a string, last name also a string, email, and motivational letter, which will have an object of file name, file type, and the file content. Cool. So with that in mind, go back. So it was first name, which will be a string. So we can just say text for now. It was last name, also text or string. Then email address, which is also text. Then will be a motivational letter, motivational. How do I name it? Sorry, let me check here. It's motivation letter. We just copy it. So it is motivation letter, which will take an object, and that object is a file name, which is the type string, and type. Basically, everything is a string here. And lastly, it's the file content, which is also going to be text. So let me just double check that I named the values as they are. So file content, file type. Yeah, it should be fine. Yeah, then we can say done, and it generated the body schema for us. First name, type string, last name, email, and motivational letter, which is an object that has file name, file type, and file content. Cool. So we can save that again. Right. So now with this compose, we actually need to reformat our file contents. Since it is base 64, we have to make it in a manner such that our Power Automate flow understands the structure of the file contents. So I'll show you how that looks like right now. Let me just grab something. It is the right. Okay. So for this, the formats, it expects a content type, which will be our file type here. Here's the file type. For the motivational letter, it will be the file type. So we will put that here. And the content will be the base 63 string after the comma. I'm not sure if it still shows here. Oh, it doesn't show here. But yeah, you just have to get the base 64 string after the comma. So we'll have to perform an expression here to split our file contents accordingly. So let me just do that now. For the file type, we said it is the file type, which is the inputs. This is the dynamic content from the item above, just in case you didn't know. So we'll do that. Insert here, the file type, and the content will actually need to make use of the split function. So the split function takes a text. In our case, it will be the base 64 string, and a separator. In our case, we want to split it. I think it's base 64 comma. Yeah. So we will want to take everything on the second, the second index of the array. So what the split function does, it just splits a string on whatever separator you specify, and it gives back an array. So from that array, we want the second item, which is the index 1. So from here, we will say splits, then we go back to our dynamic contents, and what we want is the file contents. I can't search, I have to look for it here. Yeah, file contents. So it will split that, and it will give us the file content, or the base 64 string with that has the file content. So say OK, and yeah, seems like it's worked. Then from here, what we want to do is with everything captured, we actually want to save whatever information people fill in on this form on a SharePoint list. So we will need to create our SharePoint list. So I go to, this is my SharePoint for Power Junkies, use it for demos. So from here, I'll create a list. And we will call our list, it will be a blank list. We'll name it demo. It's demo form submission, right? So we create that. And we'll need to format our list so it has the fields that we actually want to capture, which is first name, last name, email, and motivational letter. And for motivational letter, we'll actually make use of the attachments column on the SharePoint list, which comes standard with all lists. So what you have to do is, right, click on the title, go to column settings, show and hide columns. It's one of the hidden columns. And here it is, here's attachments. So we'll make use of that. Now we also need to add fields for first name, last name, email. Yeah, so we'll do that. We'll add column text. It is first name, single line of text, right? We save that. Then we add the last name, same process. Name, we save that. And lastly, email, which is also of type text, email address. Right. Okay, and that's our SharePoint list setup. One last thing I want to change. When you're creating a form, this title column here is a required field, and we're not actually making use of it. So we have to change the list settings for it. So we can actually add items without having to actually populate this field here. So the way we do that, with the list open, we go to settings and go to list settings. And then from list settings, we find this columns. And as you can see, title is required, and we don't want it to be required because we're not making use of it. So we have to change the setting for that. And title, we have it here, require this column to contain information. We say no, because we're not making use of it, and just say okay. Now it's not required. So we can go back to our SharePoint list. And okay, and we hide the title because we're not making use of it. So again, click, right click, left click, sorry, column settings, show hide, and we just hide the title and apply because we're not making use of it. And let me just reorder this. Right, so first name, last name, email, and attachments. That's our SharePoint list done. Then so we go back to our Power Automate flow. Let me just re-enter the editor for the flow. Let me just save. So it's able to recognize our new list we just created. Edit again. Then we add a new step, which is create item on SharePoint. Here it is, create item. Then on the site, you have to specify the site. In our case, it is Power Junkies, this one. And the list name is the list we just created, which we called demo, right? So to show the fields, the other fields, we're not making use of title, we leave that blank. First name, search it here on the dynamic content, first name, which is from this HTTP request. Same thing for last name, and email address. Is email address, right? So we have created the item. Now we have to create or add an attachment. I think it's add attachments. The attachments is actually our motivational letter that we received from the form. So it is add attachments. And again, you have to specify the sites. Right, the list name. The list name is demo submissions. The ID. So the ID will be the item we just created. So once this item has been created, it will generate an ID. And here it is. From create item, we have an ID. So we populate that here. So it will add an attachment to this item we just created. Then for file name, we have file name, which we got from the HTTP request, which is file name. Then for the file contents, we have to make use of this formatted file contents on this compose here. So we do that here and we look it up. What's it called? I think it's outputs. There it is. Compose outputs. So whatever is in here will be pasted here. And yeah, we should be set. Everything should be in order. Let me save it. Then remember, we need this URL, so I'll copy it. And once I've copied it, I can go back here. Then we have to enter that URL on our Fetch API right here. So we just remove the commented section. The commented section and change this into the URL we got from SharePoint. So we got that, it will send the formatted data and yeah, everything should be complete. So moment of truth, test data form, see if it works. Saved everything, so we refresh. Now, John, oh, sorry, okay, John, J, yeah, attach our file. Right, so before I press the submit button, let's just check. As you can see, the demo form submissions is empty. Let me just refresh. So what we expect to happen is, once we click submit, it will send that data, the form data, to the endpoint on our Power Automate flow. The Automate flow will work through the steps that we just did, and it will create item on the SharePoint share with the first name, last name, email, and the attachment document submitted here. So let's test it out. We filled it in and we click submit. Thank you for your application. And we check our flow. Let me just refresh here. This is where you can see the runs. And there you have it. The flow succeeded. And if we check our automate, our SharePoint, here's our item, John Doe, with the email address and the attachments. And if we open this item, here's the attachments. We open the attachments. And ta-da, it's the document from the form captured in our SharePoint list. And that's the end of the demo. Hopefully you found that insightful. And thank you for joining.
Wow, that was definitely amazing, Mzi. I am lost for words that you actually found a workaround to the problems that you actually found in terms of how we can be able to get anonymous people to attach their files on a form. You know, I know that there are limitations around Microsoft Forms, around what you can be able to use and all of those things. But that was an amazing demo, and I think it deserves a round of applause. Let's give him a round of applause again, guys. Great. So I don't know if anyone has any questions around that, but before we actually take some questions, I don't want to waste any more time. Hopefully Fanie can be able to take over and actually show us another similar way of doing this, and then we'll move over to Noktula.
Hello.
You are on mute. Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you so
now.
much. Thank you so much. Yeah, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I'm a little bit offish, but yeah, I will. My voice is not well, but yeah. So for this, I'm focusing more on the good day, the attendees and our YouTube channel visitors. So don't forget to subscribe. to our Power Junkies YouTube channel. So to thank you so much, Mzi. It was a very, very wonderful presentation, and I'll just carry over whatever Mzi has already been done. But for me, I will focus on the .NET developer, specifically for C# and ASP.NET MVC. So I'm not going to because it's a due to time, I've already created classes and methods and controllers. So I'll just take you through those controllers. Yeah. Before we start, so MVC, we know that it's a MVC model, controller, and views. So I'll start to define our object called contact us. So why I've decided contact us. So the solutions that we are going to build is when a person want to send an inquiry on the website, because some of the website, they are based on the ASP.NET solution. So you will type your inquiry and then it gets sent. Complications with that to incorporate an email into an ASP.NET web application can be very, very tricky thing. Some people use servers from Gmail, some they use Outlook, some they use SendGrid, and there's a lot of complications there because you will find you try to use a Gmail a host and it get blocked because the network that you're within, it's blocking you from requesting the service from Gmail. So there are little bit complications there, but then now we're going to show a much simpler a way where you use an Outlook services from Microsoft Power Automate. So it's just to give you that to say the challenge that we're trying to address is it can be a little bit complications if you try to use other email servers such as Gmail or Outlook from your code. Now we are going to use an Outlook service, but using a low code, no code Power Automate. So on this one, so what's happening is I've created a model that called contact us. Then the model will have a name of a person who's sending an inquiry, the email of that person, and the message of the body, whatever he might be to say, I want to join the hackathon that is happening on Microsoft. So that is our object. So I will use the object so that at least when I go to an automate and when I show other things, it make it much easier. So we have properties such as name, email, and message body. That is our model. So I assume you are already an MVC person who know how to MVC work. So you know how to add a model. Then after that, you come to a controller. So usually on MVC, you will have an HTTP get method, which is by default the one when you create. This is an HTTP get method, which is contact, and then you will have an HTTP post method that accept. This one is when you load your application, load your page, because remember your controller usually is linked with your view. So the HTTP get, it will get the information that come from the view. The information, it will come in terms of a name, our object, if you remember our contact model, it will come with a name, email, and a message body. So let's go to the view and check how the view look like. So on the view, I'll highlight few things there that you can look at. Then to go into view is simple, you right click, you go to view, then it will give you an HTML as MVC, which is it made through Razor. So I won't dwell much into the MVC, but the one thing that we need to bear in mind is the method. When you submit this information, it will go to contact, it's home, and it's a form of a method as a post. So I indicate when you submit this form, which will go in form of an object, I want you to go to a home controller and to a method called contact us. So these are very important to indicate. So our usually with MVC, you can use MVC or the ASP.NET MVC to create your views automatically. You just create it using your model. My model is contact us. And then when I was creating the view, I just created easily, then it mapped it automatically. Only this key information that I've added. Then after I've added this information, usually it's automatically added. So nothing, I didn't add anything. Mzi, remember when he was doing his own presentation on the view, he played around with some JSON script or JavaScript. But for me here, I'm not playing with the thing. I'm going to go on the server side. So the information that comes here, it will go to a method called contact. But the HTTP post. So that method, when I say when you submit the form, go to this HTTP post method. So what is the parameter that it submit? It accepts the whole form, or it accepts the whole core, or what we call a model or an object that has your name, that has your email, that has the message body. Then here I was checking the state is for more of the validation if the name, email, or the message body is added. It was validating there because now I'm going to deal with my application because I'm going to use an API or another client services that is hosted on the Microsoft Power Automate. So I'm going to use an object called HTTP client. So you usually use this object when you are dealing with APIs. So for you to be able to import it, you will see we have the library to access that HTTP client. It calls system.net HTTP. So I will just comment it so that you can see. If you don't highlight, then you see it disappears. So usually, if you experiment, you try to watch this YouTube video and then you try to look to say, how do I access that class? You simply have to bring this library called system.net.http. So yeah, then let's highlight it back. Then you see it's coming. So this client is going to give us the method that will enable us to connect with an API or another service that come from a different application, so different host. So after I've done that, then I had to indicate what content do I need to send to another client. So the clients that we're going to send to it, we know that it's a Microsoft Power Automate. So then I need to indicate what type. I need to convert the content from my view. Remember, it will come as a package of name, name, email, and message body. I need to take that information and convert it into a format that client will be able to accept. Usually APIs, they accept the JSON script. So now here I have to convert this information or the C# at the moment, it's more on the C# format, in a format that MVC understand, or any ASP.NET format that it understand. But now I need to send it to another client, and to do that, I had to convert it into a JSON script. This is where you see I convert it into a JSON script. Then I call this method serial object. This is whatever that I convert. This model, it comes from the view, then is the one that I converted into a JSON script. Then I encoded. This is the format that I take into it, which is UTF-8. And then this one, I just have to put this part of converting it. Then after that, then I need to have a response. I need to check that whatever that I've sent it, was it able to give me what type of a message it gave me? Was it successfully sent it or was not successfully sent it? Then that's why that HTTP message is important, because I'm using a synchronized method that I call. You can use unsynchronized, but I use the synchronized here. So the clients that I have initiated it, now I'm calling it, now I'm about to use, then what type of API that I'm calling it? A post. It's an API that is going to accept information from my application, which is the contact us, then send it to where? To a Microsoft Power Automate. You saw on the presentation that Mzi was doing, after he created the schema, it gave him a link. That link is the one that he will use to communicate. Then this link is the same. After you have created a flow, you have created a schema, then it will give you this kind of an API link. So remember, the schema, the way you create, it has to fit with the type of data that you want. So you should assume that the schema that I am going to create on my my HTTP request on Power Automate should be able to match this information that come from this application. So then you copy this URL, you paste it here, then this is the content that we are passing. This content, remember, it has already been converted into a JSON script and is being passed to this URL, which is the API. Then if it's successful, then we'll indicate the response. It will be based what type of information that come. Was the clients that where we send it able to be successful, or there was an error. If it was successful, then we'll get this message. Message was sent successfully. If it failed, then it will give us that an error message based on whatever challenges that it faced. Some challenges might be fire wall that is blocking, then it will give you that. So that's how it look in terms of my MVC. Then let's go to the Power Automate. So yeah, let's okay. Then this is the Power Automate. You saw Mzi followed it. He has already taken you through how do you add those connectors. Then I've added my connector. Then this URL that is here, it was the one that I will send to the application that I was doing that will collect the information. Then this is how the schema look like. This information, remember, of the schema need to match whatever information that was created on my thing, on my web application MVC. So you had a name, you have an email, which is type string, type string, type string. And if you check it here on my thing, all are type string, type string, type string, type string. So that's how it looks. So Mzi already took you that. Then I have to indicate, because remember it's an HTTP post. It accepts information that is already been processed by GET. Then now we are posting it back. Then after posting it back, then what do I do with that information? I'm going to send an email. Then at the moment, I'm going to send email to this email address. Then what will be the subject? It will be the name of a person who's submitting the thing. If I submit Somelez, it will be Somelez request. Then it will say, dear technician, Somelez has sent the following request. And then what is about the thing? He wants to join the hackathon. Then that's best regard. So that was it. Then now I'm going to pilot it. I'm going to run my application. So I will go to this contact, then I will run it, my MVC application. So now it's still loading. So while it's still loading, drop the questions that you may want to know. So as I say, the exercise that I was doing was more of the people who are dealing with hardcore developer who understand MVC and want to know how can you tap into low code, no code. So it has loaded, then I'll say Someleze, then the email is, I'll write Someleze, Tico. Then I'll say, I want to join the hackathon. So this email will be sent to Fanie. Then if you submit, then it has to say successfully submitted there. So then it says successfully submitted. So then, yeah, it means the email is sent successfully. Then if you check it, there, here it is. It says, Somelez a request, dear technician, Somelez has sent a following me, say, I want to join the hackathon. So yeah, that was quick and simple. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ndlovu. That was a wonderful, splendid presentation. Deserves a round of applause. Thank you so much again, Mr. Ndlovu, for showcasing that what you can do with HTML and Power Automate is what you can also do with MVC, .NET, and C# with Power Automate, and what are the nitty-gritty details that you need to pay attention to when you want to make those API calls from your app to your Power Automate flow. I didn't realize that this is something that a lot of pro coders can be able to utilize. Hopefully, they can be able to start extending some of their solutions and having a much more cleaner and efficient code than having all of these components of writing the code to send an email. Rather, use already existing technologies and solutions are already out there that can be able to do some of the heavy lifting for them without having to write extensive code that may make their code much more slower and less efficient. Without wasting any time, I just want to hand it over to Miss Noktula Makanya. Noktula, over to you.
A very good afternoon to everyone. My name is Noktula Makanya, and I will. Sorry.
We can hear you.
Okay, my name is Noktula Makanya, and I will be presenting a solution on how businesses can use the receipt processor feature on Power Apps to easily upload, store, and organize the receipts in one place. Maintaining a record of receipts ensures that businesses can track their spending, prove purchases, and facilitate efficient expenses. So I have created a simple Canvas app. Can you see my screen?
You are not sharing your screen as of yet, Noktula.
Okay, can you see it now?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, so I have created a simple Canvas app that has the home screen, the process receipt screen, and the gallery screen. So a user can choose to scan a receipt or view purchases. We're gonna start with scanning a receipt. So this is the scan a receipt feature that is on Power Apps. So we are going to scan our receipt. Okay, so this is the picture of the receipt that I have already taken. So the user is gonna upload it, and then it's gonna load. Okay, so the details on the receipts are gonna appear on this form. The retailer name, the address, their telephone number. Unfortunately, on this slip there isn't a telephone number. The transaction date, the transaction time, the total. The text is not captured, and the user has to select the category. So we're gonna select meals and dining. The user has to enter their name. They also have to enter their email. And they also have to enter a comment. So we're going to say meeting with a client. This is the Power Automate flow. So I'm just gonna say test. and then go back to my app and submit this slip. It says here submitted successfully. So we're gonna go back to our flow. Okay, so once the user has submitted the receipt, the details on the form, they are submitted on a SharePoint list. We have a SharePoint list called receipt. Okay, this is the new receipt that we just submitted. There is the name of the person who submitted the receipt, their email address, the retailer name, the retailer address, the telephone number, transaction date, transaction time, the total, and the category. So we are going to go to my emails, and we are going to check for an email where the admin has to approve the expense. Okay, this is the email. It says receipt to be approved, and it contains the name of the person who submitted the receipt, the category, the retailer name, the date, and the total. So the admin has to either approve or reject the expense. So Melissa, can you see my screen?
Yes, we still can see your screen.
Okay, so we're gonna say reject.
Yeah, but I think our Outlook is still paused a little bit.
Sorry.
Outlook was a bit paused a little bit. Your screen was a bit frozen.
Okay, can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, so we are going to reject this expense. And then the admin has an option to add a comment on why they rejected the expense. Okay, the expense has been rejected. The person who submitted the receipt or the expense will receive an email informing them that their expense request has been rejected. Okay, this is the email. It says expense rejected. This is the submitter's name, received to transaction date. It has the date, and the retailer name has been rejected. Let's go back to our Canvas app. Okay, back to our Canvas app, we also have a gallery screen that shows all the submitted receipts. So far we only have 3. We're gonna choose the one that we submitted. Okay, let's choose this one. So after clicking that button, it shows all the details of the receipts that were submitted, the retailer name, the address, the transaction date, and the list of the purchased items and their total. And that brings me to the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Noktula. That was a great presentation. Actually showcases how you can be able to use AI to keep track of your expenses and be able to build those dashboards and reports to actually see how you are spending your money. And this is not only applicable to you personally, it's also applicable if you have a startup or if you have a company and you want to keep track of what you guys are spending on. But before I forget, I know that Kanya's presentation deserves a round of applause. So well done, Noktula, sorry. Well done, Noktula, for such an amazing presentation and also showcasing how you can be able to use AI within the Power Platform to keep track of those receipts and invoices. I personally, for one, know that I've had an experience of seeing the receipts that I use whenever I buy stuff from either of the supermarkets that I use, and they just disintegrate. And then when I want to keep track of, oh, what did I spend on? I look at the receipt, it's already faded out. But now with this tool that Noktula actually just showed us, we can be able to use AI to extract all of that information from that disintegrating receipt and then store it back into our SharePoint or into an Excel spreadsheet. And then we can create dashboards and reports if we want to become very fancy around that. Well, that brings us to the end of our Power Platform community call for September 8th. Today's community call was a bit longer because it was extremely juicy, filled with amazing demos around how you can be able to use Fusion development to build solutions alongside MVC, .NET, and C#, and also HTML. I saw some Bootstrap there and a JavaScript somewhere. So that was really, really an insightful demo. Those were the really insightful demos, and also how you can be able to use AI in the Power Platform to be able to keep track of your expenses, keep track of your invoices, and be able to build those dashboards and reports. Speaking of AI, just to remind you again, make sure to register for the Power Platform Global AI Hack, which is a hack together that you can be able to participate in to learn about all of the co-pilots within the Power Platform and AI within the Power Platform. Exactly what Noktula just did on this demo, you'll be able to learn about that from Microsoft experts and employees and also MVPs that will be doing sessions, but also you will be having an opportunity to build your own projects during that Power Platform Global AI Hack Together so that you can be able to submit it to a panel of judges that will either judge your solution. Based off of the results of that solution, you would stand a chance to win some of the prizes, which I'm not going to mention today. Just go to the link and be able to say aka.ms/hack together/Power Platform AI so that you can be able to learn more about the hack together and learn more about what's up for grabs in terms of prizes, what kind of solutions can you build using the co-pilots within Power Platform and also AI, similar to what Noktula just did. Our next community call is in 2 weeks from now, so make sure to join us for that community call. This will be, I think, if I'm not mistaken, will be around the 20th of September. We have more juicy stuff coming during this community calls, so make sure to join that. And again, I urge you, join the Power Platform Global AI Hack Together, and we'll be keeping up on what's new. And you can ask questions even here on the Power Platform Junkies user group community call to see how we as a community can assist each other if we want to win those prices from the Global AI Hacktogether. From that, I'd like to say thank you to everyone. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you on the next one.